Hello, dear friends. Many shadows will emerge in your consciousness through enlightenment. Welcome your shadow to release it. Opinion piece. This is a miracle. Heaven is the limit. Planetary transition. We are coming home. Positive transformation. The old 3D cycle is over. This January is crucial. Welcome your shadow. This is the long-awaited time. Enjoy the present moment. Positive polarity is natural. Supernatural intervention of divine origin. Simplicity is the hardest thing to achieve. Let's start. The energy being generated now will alter the physical body significantly as a result of intensive detoxification. The dark forces that have had a limited freedom for 500,000 years are now facing the forces of light and the digital warriors, who had made breakthroughs with great effort. It was these negative forces that sabotaged the positive initiatives to make it impossible to break this negative isolation. But this has now definitively been achieved, according to Peter B. Mayer. The sooner humankind realizes the reality, the better it will be for all of us. This is a challenge for us to unite and apply our full potential. Our world has been polluted by enormous amounts of chemicals, radiation, disinformation, distortion, etc., maintained by half-truths, fraud, distorted images, deceptive mirages, propaganda, and especially brainwashing. Our physical body is completely poisoned and contaminated by radiation and air pollution, but also by heavy metals and dangerous toxins through food. All this is stored in the human organism, so physical detoxification is necessary. The great transformation has begun, and this process is unstoppable. The energies are coming together from above and from below. This is the long-awaited moment for many centuries, and we are entering the new fifth-dimensional world. The dark side has been defeated, and what remains are remnants of the third rank, which will disappear when the majority of humankind has awakened. God is with you. Every human being has the respect of the Lord in him. Realize that the new world is already a fact, that the transformation has begun. Look at life with a new look and discover the reality. Have love for a beautiful world in freedom that brings us closer to the Creator. It is important to know that the worst of evil is over and will never return. Now it is everyone's task to pass on this message of good news to everyone you know. Help them to increase their awareness and redevelop the faith they once possessed. School planet. According to Vital Frosty, the Earth is a school planet where souls went to experience duality, that it is to alternate between the polarities of light and shadow. As if getting past life experiences were not enough, the difficulties faced by the incarnated were increasing, and they also felt disconnected from the source and didn't know who they really are and why they came here. According to the Creator's plan, this school will leave the class of atonement and testing. The height of consciousness will go to a higher level, and this will be the big difference from now on. Much of humankind has already learned the necessary lessons, even if you do not even remember it. You still cannot remember what you learned in previous lives, but there has always been an evolution of consciousness, even in incarnations where the shadow dominates the consciousness of the incarnate. The sum total of what has been learned in the hundreds or even more than 1,000 incarnations that humankind has already lived will determine the frequency of each consciousness in this end time of three-dimensional frequency. There will be a massive ascension of souls, as 1/3 of humankind has already reached this frequency. The light will gradually become more intense as the pulses become more intense and frequent. High frequency of this light will keep the Earth in a high dimensional frequency, which will definitely remain between 5D and 9D. The old 3D cycle is dying out on planet Earth. The light is increasing, and in the same proportion, the prepared consciousness is expanding. Thus, everything changes from the one who awakens in this new era of life. Knowledge will flow from within, because it has always been there. The experiences gained in duality will serve, in a sense, as an endorsement of this awakening, but they will also be of great value in a future where ascended beings on Earth will be part of groups led by ascended masters. As consciousness expands now, each incarnate will integrate his or her consciousness into a higher version of the soul. We will gradually move from soul fragments to a higher version of the soul. This is necessary to become part of the rebirth into the 5-dimensional world. We already have access to this higher version of ourselves. Some have already reached the higher self, which is the version at the top of the ascension pyramid. This version is housed in Source, and is nothing more than the integral spirit. It is to say, the divine seed atom. We are coming home. This is the long-awaited time since we came to this planet. Remembering. Then, if we can access our higher self, our memories, remembering. Then, if we can access our higher self, our memories of all past lives here on this planet with penance and tribulation will be brought back to life. All successive lives will return to our consciousness like a movie. As we are willing to remember and understand our own history, it will appear on the screen of each consciousness. And in this movie of each person's life, we will discover that we experience polarities in duality. When we have advanced in learning, we have also had setbacks or mistakes, but that is absolutely normal, for there is no other way to learn in the school of the third dimension. Every time we experience the immersion of the shadow polarity, we build a version called the lower self. In fact, we can now receive such information when our consciousness is ready to understand it, that nothing is more natural than positive polarity, like experience itself. The soul is ready for accumulation when it has followed and understood all the lessons of both polarities. Both light and shadow offer experience. You wouldn't know the difference between the two if you had not experienced them. That is what now determines who goes to the new 5D Earth and who hasn't yet to learn more in the third-dimensional world. Dissolving the shadow. Anyone reading or listening to this message has already experienced it. You are now on the last part of the journey. Therefore, it is time to clear the basements, that is, to clear the dark parts you experienced when you went through the darker polarities. Do not worry about deeds and actions that would be detestable today. Remember that they were necessary to learn the lessons of this school. Many shadows will emerge in your consciousness through enlightenment. Before your entire history is remembered in detail, these shadows must be recognized, understood, and illuminated. They are part of you. Therefore, they must not be forgotten. Be vigilant in these first 5 weeks of 2022. Those who dissolve their shadow will now have some strange symptoms, which most have never felt before. Some old acquaintances may also reappear, such as anger, fear, guilt, shame, resentment, etc. New symptoms may also vary from person to person. We have already received many reports in this first week. The most common is the feeling that the dark spirit is haunting. Yes, it feels like an attack, because the attacks have always been there. But you have to understand that the shelves are emptying, and there are not as many left as there used to be. What is happening now is that the lower self is manifesting to be understood and enlightened. What appears to be an evil spirit is nothing more than a version of your own reflection, a shadow of you. It represents that version of your soul in a particular incarnation, when the experience of duality was in the polarity of the shadow. Yes, you have lived that experience. You lived the lower version to learn the difference between light and shadow. Were it not for such experiences, you wouldn't be ready for ascension now. You would be among the 2/3 that still belong to the third dimension. So, instead of hesitating and panicking, step into the loving vibration of welcome. Welcome your shadow. Look at those lower versions of yourself with love and compassion. They may also represent all those sister souls who are not yet ready. They are all those people represented who are still creating joy from evil, that is, in the shadows. The people we hold in such high esteem for their evil deeds are in the same situation that we have experienced at some point in the past. Thus, we understand what is allowed and what is not. There is no other way to learn without living the experience, and it is by living that experience that we create the characters that make up the lower self. Don't deny that version of yourself, because it is no longer real. It's just a memory of something that one was. But if you feel something pressuring you, understand it, accept it, and let it go. Do this with love. There is no haunting spirit bothering you. It is a memory of a difficult time, where the experience was important and necessary, but it should not be repeated, because it represents the antithesis of the light. It is now your antithesis, because you are the light. And that is why you feel somewhat heavy, because this is a lower and denser energy. Remember, we have 5 weeks to clear those shadows. If you resist, they last longer. This is a unique opportunity, because before you had to open them up to illuminate them. Now they appear without you looking for them. The shadows need the light. They ask you for this gesture of charity. Release them, and your energy will be much lighter. This is all part of the final adjustments that the moment requires. I am Viral Frosty, and my mission is enlightenment. Wealth situation. Current wealth situation by Caroline Oceana Ryan. You are all in detox mode at this time. The sensitive light codes flowing into the earth are now in constant energetic dialogue with your body, mind, spirit, and energy systems. As a result, you are in a state of cleansing and renewal, which involves releasing much of what you cannot take with you into the fifth dimension. This is similar to someone deciding that I will no longer gamble, or I will no longer eat sugar of most grains, or I will free myself from the need to watch TV every night, and so on. The body and the neural pathways of the brain, so worn out and accustomed to those activities, may react with surprise at the loss of them. They will sense the missing element and mourn their dismissal. Then some resistance arises, because the human mind and body love routine and feel safer living within it. There are also biochemical reactions offered by habits, not only reactions to food, drink and other substances, but also to habitual external movements. However, as a new space is cleared, when an old habit or addiction is released to make way for something much better, that opening has a dazzling beauty, despite the discomfort and insecurity. The realization of new possibilities can occur, even as the body, ego, mind, and personality work hard to adapt. This is where you are now, in many ways. It is important to allow this moment in your life and on your planet, even if you wish it would hurry up and end. That is understandable, and yet transitions must occur. To cross the ravine, you must first walk the bridge from one side to the other. There is a reason why, when people are climbing rocks or crossing a very high bridge, someone will say, "Don't look down." If you knew the immensity of the task you are performing right now, you would be amazed and perhaps wonder if you could even complete it. Yes, you are at a dizing height, and you may feel physically dizzy and exhausted some days, as the body, mind, and spirit reach new heights and shed the density of the old frequency. However, you are moving through the necessary steps to completion in beautiful ways. Speak to this new higher light flowing now. Let it know that you would like a lighter heart and a mind and a body that can adapt more quickly to these new energies in a calm and graceful way. Yes, this is possible. You don't need to feel stuck in transition or dog's mode any longer than necessary. Even now, you can begin to move toward a calmer place. Emotional release. Many of you use the emotional release technique known as tapping to get out of a stuck place in your daily habits or your thoughts and emotions. This very useful tool is a way to enact energy work in your own inner life in an empowering way. And as you tap, you can begin by affirming 3 times that even though I have no idea where this earth is headed, where I am headed myself right now, I still love, accept, and honor myself deeply. Then, you will move forward, not to deny your emotions and mental tensions, but to embrace them. Allow them to speak as you would allow an anxious child to speak of their fears, while tapping on the meridian points of the face and upper body. I feel very insecure. This is difficult, much is unwritten. I welcome the new earth, but this is a new situation, very insecure. I don't know how to handle these stresses some days. I am afraid from my loved ones. I'm not sure on myself some days, and it is very unsettling, and so on. In the next round, or a few rounds after that, once you have released your emotional response completely, you might feel a little more positive, and then you might say, while tapping on the points, I know that all I need to do is stay in the present moment. I keep coming back to my breath. I talk to my spiritual team every day. Know that I am loved and lovingly guided, knowing that all is well. It may take you a few rounds to get to where you naturally move to feeling positive enough about life to start affirming the positive. Don't push. Allow yourself to bring out as much discomfort or confusion or feelings of abandonment or uncertainty as needed. There is no moment to lose here. The point is to be honest with yourself about your own vulnerability. Allow yourself to feel it fully and move on only when you are ready. Remember that a part of you, even within your earth body, is filled with courage at all times, or you wouldn't be here now. Call to that aspect and let it come forward. You have asked that this is your time, dear ones. Humanity's time to rise up and consider yourself independent of their corrupt. Your complete willingness to allow the vulnerability and uncertainty you feel at times, while feeling empowered and enjoy at other times, gives you more strength, not less. This new human you are quickly becoming does not stop worrying or honoring yourself or others when faced with opposition views or circumstances. Allow this moment of questioning and impatience, knowing that you can move up in frequency whenever you wish, or as soon as you can. You are part of this great stream of conscious living light that is pouring onto the planet now. You are part of the great presence of the Creator who has directed its flow throughout your galaxy and universe, and who could never stop loving you. The reality of that is constantly with you, no matter what may happen around you. The power of the present. And there is nothing as good as being in the present. This is the only place that really exists. Everything else requires mental gymnastics to bring it into reality. Your power is the present. If you are going to effect change, any change, you need to be in the present, at least in the moment you are making it. If not, mistakes can easily be made. Case in point, car accidents. This usually happens because the person wasn't even there on the road when the accident happened. They were in a mental wonderland. Also, your power and ability to communicate is restricted when you are not in the present. Have you ever tried to talk or listen to someone who didn't really even seem to know they were there? Negative emotions only come into play when you are not in the present. Hate, fear, and pain come from being in the past. You are not really in the past because that no longer exists, but you are doing a lot of mental gymnastics to stay focused on the past long enough to feel it and even get caught up in these negative emotions. When one forgives the offenses of others, it helps the person to release their negative emotion that comes from the past. There are also negative emotions related to the future. For example, lust, greed, envy, and pride arise when a person is not happy or satisfied with their present and then mentally in a world of imagining or wishing for different realities. Path to Freedom. It is in our hands by TM. On our path to freedom, on this journey of self-discovery within ourselves, is our divine spark, our power aspect of creation. Our divinity surpasses all earthly illusions. The technological overlords have surrendered. Science has capitulated. Religion is collapsing. Our armed forces are impotent. Governments are being forced to their knees to rid humanity of all false teachings. Our time to think and process is coming to an end, as are those of us, those who accept the possibility that to think is not to be. Be as a child in accepting the love of the Creator, that we have been deceived into believing that He has abandoned us, that only our planet has intelligent life. How sad to believe that scientists, whose only service is to perpetuate a false paradigm, how pathetic it has been to put our faith in these false prophets, whose teachings have failed to truly teach the truth. Everything is being transformed, reformed, and transcended. Be that 100th monkey on the beach. I am what I am. Synergy of Love. Synergy of Love by John Cordero Lash. The synergy of love and supernatural generates power of unimaginable intensity and scope. Power to play, not control, dissolve, not dominate, enhance and enchant, not seduce, teach and inspire, not deceive, direct, not manipulate. One of the open secrets is this: such power is available only for those who no longer care to have it. Traditionally, since the beginning of Mahayana Buddhism around 150 after Christ, the Bodhisattva vow has expressed the main goal of Buddhist practice, and that is to strive for liberation of all sentient beings. But in the later years of the Kali Yuga, this proposition becomes obsolete due to the chaotic decadence of the human condition. The power required to liberate all sentient beings comes with the freedom to use it as you wish. Anyway, how the ultimate freedom of desire aligns with planetary magic is the short and sweet secret. Planetary love is a path of outrageous freedom celebrated with love, but without any obligation to love. This path has some precedents in spiritual and technical guidance, but no precedents in actual practice. Parallels with Hindu and Tibetan Tantra can help elucidate its unique nature and show how it is tailor-made for this historical moment. It is not a timeless method, but a tactic for almost instantaneous change. As such, it can also be called the Kala Tantra of this instant in Sanskrit. Kala means the present moment of time, right now. The New World. Enjoy the moment, carpe diem, by the grace of Sirius. There are glimmers of hope all around you that show you that this time of crisis is coming to an end, and you will be entering a state of normalcy. However, the new world will be unlike anything you have known before. Much of the world's population may think that they will return to a world they knew in the past, but as you will know, this will not be the case. As makers of the way, you will take the lead in the new world, but now is the time to sit back, take stock and reflect on what that new world might look like. It is time for you to manifest that new world, but it is up to you, all of you, to make this new world a better place than it has been for millennia. You will all have to come to terms with what you have done, and those of you who have been punished in the past for your abuse will finally be exonerated. And those of you who have been working tirelessly for the light will be honored for your patience and fortitude. Many of you have been living in a kind of poverty, but in truth much of the world's finances have been stolen from you, and in the future you will be able to recover these finances and manifest all that you so desire. It is time to think about what it is that you all want or need in order to live in a perfect world. Money will not be a problem for you, as you will all have what you want. It will be like you are starting all over again. The new world will be like nothing you have ever known before. Don't restrict yourself, as all your financial and health situations can be fixed. Now is the time to go within, to connect with your higher self and find yourself again. This new future is within your reach now, but you have to live in the moment to achieve it. Be one with yourself in the present and to bring the new world into existence. We welcome you to this new heaven on earth that all will enjoy. Break your limits. When we limit ourselves, we decide that we are only capable of doing something to a certain extent, that we cannot go as far as we want to go. as we only have a restricted set of abilities. Your greatest asset may be your willingness to persist longer than anyone else. There is no possible limit to the expansion of each of us. If you get in the habit of putting limits on what you do, physically or at any other level, it will project into the rest of your life. It will propagate into your work, into your morals, into your being in general. There are no limits, there are phases, but you shouldn't get stuck in them. You have to go beyond them. Don't limit yourself. Many people limit themselves from what they are capable of doing. You can go as far as your mind will allow. Remember, you can achieve what you truly believe and you can achieve. It is hard to be the person who never gives up. Try to keep your mind open to possibilities and your mouth shut on matters you don't know about. Limit your always and your nevers. Simplicity is the hardest thing in this world to achieve. It is the last limit of experience and the last effort of genius. Patience and perseverance have a magical effect whereby difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish. The limit of your present understanding is not the limit of your possibilities. Sleep not to rest, sleep to dream, for dreams are there to be fulfilled. Maybe other people will try to limit me, but I won't limit myself. Your life is too big for you to leave it small. I really feel like the sky is the limit. I am a dreamer, and I dream of everything in vivid color. The human being who moves a mountain begins by carrying small stones. Most great people have reached their greatest success only step by step, only one step beyond their greatest failure. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.